I had the headset on for 20 minutes.
I don't want to know about your imperfections, dude. Prefer to leave you on a pedestal so I'll improve. Because if I'm finding out, you know more.
Imperfections and all. It's the Basic AF show. Tommy
Lots
Anderson,
of
Jeff
those,
Battersby.
Sorry.
Reunited
Talked over
once
you
again.
First imperfection
You
is
got
I
a big
talked right
mouth.
over
You're a
you.
New Yorker. What do you want me to say?
Well, I'm a Californian.
You're a New Yorker
With
at
New
this
York
point.
blood. Yeah, pretty much. I got New York. I got a New York attitude, but a California heart.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, it also explains why. It does explain a ton. Also explains why I talk over you constantly. So,
That's okay.
yeah, you know why? Who needs to hear what this show is?
We've known each other long enough. I'll never be offended by it. So,
Yeah, you think so?
yeah.
That
So,
could end
we
pretty
have a
quickly.
special guest
What?
this go round. He's been with us before, way back, and almost a year ago, actually. Episode 3, the Apple Services show that we did. Emergency fill-in on episode 5, the Big Tips and Tricks show, when you had your stuff stolen out in California. Which, by the way, you see that In and Out has been shut down.
Yes, it has.
Hey, go
That
figure.
That In and Out is no longer.
Yes. So, welcome back to the show, Gannon Nordberg.
Hey, fellas. Happy birthday. Episode 28. That's great. I guess that means nobody pulled the plug on you guys yet. That's great.
I'm surprised we
yeah.
haven't put it on ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be back.
good to have you. Really is good to have you. And thanks again for sliding in when I could not do the same. I guess I could have recorded from my phone. That would have been fun, but nah.
That would have been wild. They do have an app. Riverside has an app for them.
It does. I know.
So, yeah, maybe we'll try that.
All
sometime.
possible.
All right. So, we originally, actually, let me pause there. I want to go back just a second.
Okay.
So, our last show, we did the App Essentials, our go-to tools. And I want to give a shout out to the folks at Bear Notes, because I posted on Twitter about that and they reposted it, and we saw a nice bump in the downloads for that episode. I'm going to attribute a lot of that, or most of that, if not all of it, to them. So we do appreciate that. That was very kind. And if you've come in from that, welcome. We hope you hang around with us. We thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Really grateful. Thank you, Bear Notes.
Yeah, so this show, we're going to do a tips and tricks show. We did that a year ago. There's been obviously the new operating systems and everything, so we thought it'd be good to go back and do that. And we might get to it this episode towards the end. But breaking news.
Breaking.
Jeff got up early yesterday, braved I-84. Did you take 84? Was it 84?
Of course I did.
Okay. I didn't know if you had maybe a
the only
local
thing
way
between
that was
here,
the back roads or something.
the scenic route, I did
Yeah.
not take the scenic route.
Okay. Over to the mall in Danbury, Connecticut,
Correct.
and had a hands-on experience with Apple Vision Pro. So we want to talk about that.
Sweet.
Yes, I did. And I won't bury the lead. I did not come back with an Apple Pro, nor is it likely that I will be coming back with an Apple. What did I just say? Apple Pro? Dude, I have coffee, but I'm not doing well. Apple Vision Pro. I do not have an Apple Vision Pro. I did not buy one.
I'm disappointed.
I know. Well, I should have sacrificed for the show. I get it.
We could have returned it.
I could have returned it. Exactly right. I could have. I did not leave with one. I did though. So what Apple did is, and it had never seen this before, as long as I can remember. And I went to, I think, what was one of the first iPhone releases at that same mall. It was back when I was writing for Macworld, and I went there and reported on the iPhone release in Danbury, and that was a ton of fun. I had a great time. It was lines out the door at that point in time. So Apple, for the Vision Pros, decided that they were going to open the stores early. So they opened the Apple Store at the Danbury Fair Mall at 8 a.m. Also, I think every other Apple store on the planet was opened at the same time, and you could go in and get or sign up for a demo session with the Vision Pro. I tried to do the sign up online, no such possibility. They weren't doing anything like that. So, as Tom mentioned, I hopped in my car, trekked over to Danbury, And I did not get there at 8. I got there at 9 or a little before 9. I needed to make coffee and chill, do that kind of stuff like I have to do in the morning. And when I got there, I went to the door. There were not lines and lines of people. That's the first thing I'd like to point out. I guess for $3,500, you don't, get as many people as you do for, how much did the iPhone cost in the beginning? About 6 something?
Yeah, I think it was 600-700.
Yeah,
500.
So bigger chunk of money. But there was a line to get the demo. So when I say a line to get the demo, I walked up and I got there at 9. I was allowed to come back at 11. So I had to wait 2 hours in order to get that demo. So, but not scads and scads of people sitting outside the door. So went, had a little more coffee and went to Panera Bread. Let's see, get them to sponsor us. Went to Panera, had a little something to eat, and drank some coffee, and came back and started talking to some of the employees, and to a person. They were, and it didn't seem like rah-rah cheerleading stuff. This is amazing. You're really going to think it's incredible. And, I talked with a bunch of people. Very, very cool. So get pulled over, sit down, and pretty cool setup process. You're sitting with, an Apple genius of some sort, and they're explaining what it is. They actually you had to fill out a questionnaire about whether or not you needed eyeglasses, whether you needed reading glasses, whether or not you'd had surgery that affected, gave you monovision and a couple of different things like that. And then they prepped your Apple Vision Pro in the back room, and it came out literally served on a tray, a really nice tray.
I saw pictures of that. It does look like a little nice tray there.
Yeah, it was really kind of slick. It was like,
the white glove service.
Exactly that. It was white glove. Obviously they have to kind of prep these things for, 4 million people or however many people went and looked at them yesterday. So it had they all got cleaned in between each showing, and they had a special gasket. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but somebody at the store said, it's like the toilet seat cover that you get in the public bathroom.
That's great.
So that's essentially, sorry, coughing on the radio. So that's essentially what it was. They had a little gasket on there that they pulled off. Thing that my mother used to refer to as the ass gasket. Yes, I said ass on the radio or whatever on our podcast. That's okay. Bad words allowed here. So they pull that off. They showed you. They only gave you the band that actually had the little adjusters on the side. I don't know what the technical name for it is. So you didn't get the one.
It's just the single strap in the back.
It's single strap, which works pretty well. And I had read, Marquise Brownlee had said, you really kind of want to hang it on your cheeks. Use that to carry some of the weight. I tried my best to do that, but it was, you don't have a lot of time. So I wasn't able to play with it too much. So you put the thing on, and then there's another setup process that goes on. So pretty basic on the outside of that thing. Button on the top that you click, dial, that allows you to pick and choose and go back to various things. So pretty simple that way, but it
just like the one on the watch, right? So,
exactly right. And they call it the
crown.
same thing. Yeah, they call
crown.
it digital crown.
Yeah.
So not much, very familiar, I guess is what I would say. And then there's another button on the left-hand side, which we didn't use at all, but you use it to take pictures. You can take photos. So go through another setup process where your eyes, in 3 different light settings, have to focus on, and then, you use the little finger tap, which, by the way, I never, other than when I was doing other things on it, and I'll talk about this a little more, like making windows wider or anything like that. I had my hand in my lap the whole time and would tap that. And it does not take very much at all to be able to get that to work. So you would look up to the top of the screen, tap, look basically it was like a clock face without 12 points. It was 10 points, I think, or maybe 8 points. But you look up, tap, to the right, tap. You kind of go all the way around this clock. You do that 3 times, and then it brings you into the actual Vision Pro environment, which I will say right off the bat, without having anything up, the view through it, for the person wearing the Vision Pro, amazingly in the moment. So, one of the things I've said before about this is there's this layer of abstraction between you and the universe. You've got these glasses on and you're interacting with stuff in the room. The guy giving me the demo, 100% there. A little faded, definitely through some kind of glasses, but it felt more like you were wearing a pair of really hazy dark glasses or ski goggles, that kind of a feel.
How was the clarity?
Amazing,
Cool.
in terms of what it was. Again, there's like a little fog over it. It's so it's definitely clear that you're in this environment, but that appears to be by design in terms of how it works. But everybody in the room is right there. The other side of that, and I was paying attention to this, is if you are on the other end of that experience, in other words, you're the person looking at the geek in the goggles, it very alienating. Like everybody in the room that had Vision Pro on, Apple Vision Pro on, it's like any VR experience that you've seen, especially the goofy ones on, YouTube where people are, they're leaning into stuff and running across the room and smashing into walls and televisions and stuff like that. You could see that could be a real thing. Although here you can see through that, so it's unlikely that thing would happen to you. But that distance between you and the person who is wearing the Apple Vision Pro, not in any way eliminated. You remember the first ad where they showed the guy, the father that's in the room with his, his kids, and he's got the goggles on and and at least my first thought when I saw that was, no way. That's like,
I didn't like that. Yeah, that was one of my biggest complaints of that ad, or that, I guess it was during the
it was
keynote, right? They showed
it
that.
was in the keynote, right? Yeah. Exactly that. That aspect of it, I wouldn't want to be in a room with somebody else wearing those goggles. I don't even like it when somebody has a headphone in when I'm in the room. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people have an earbud in their ears the whole time that they're talking to you.
What's up,
in a
bro?
room doing stuff. Yeah, exactly. And it's like
call.
Yeah. And there are obviously instances where that is, but 100% of the time, that drives me crazy, And when my kids were little, and they were getting their first iPods, when we would go grocery shopping, I would always make them leave that stuff in the car. You're not going to walk through the store with earbuds in and not be a part of the situation. This it accentuates that experience by a billion.
How many people were getting a demo at the same time as you?
They were only doing 4 or 5 at a time.
Okay.
Actually, maybe more than that. I think there were 2 tables of 4 each. So 8 at a time. There were 8 at a time. All was full. But very low key. Like when I came back to check in and I was 20 minutes early, they come back at 11. It's like, don't be standing around here was basically the feeling that I got, in a nice way, but that was it. So there were quite a few people that were there. I don't know how many walked out with them. I could have hung around or should have hung around.
I know somebody that didn't.
Who was that?
Oh, yeah.
And the guy that won't sacrifice for the show, right?
Real quick question.
Yeah.
For the two of you, how much VR experience with headsets do you guys have? Like, I have none. Like, I've never strapped one on or anything, so I don't have any basis to go with. Gannon, how about you?
Believe it or not, I do have another nerd friend outside of you guys.
What?
And he has a pretty sweet rig in his basement where he's got, I think it's a Quest. I don't know which one, but he's got it's hooked up to a pretty powerful gaming PC. And of course, he has, games that I'm not that interested in, but he had this demo where he would put you like in the ocean and you'd stand in the middle of the room with this headset on and you've got like controllers in your hands and, you can actually like take a couple steps around the room a little bit. So he's got like the space cleared out so that you can move around freely and really experience more senses there. And, you're like looking up and there's a whale swimming by and then you can like, walk over this way and you'll see a ship, with fish swimming through it and stuff like that. And I remember there's one part of this demo where you're on top of this building and you're supposed to like walk up to the edge and kind of like look over the edge. And like, I had this feeling of vertigo, like I was going to fall. And of course, my buddy gave me a little tap on the back and I like just lost it. I like threw off the headset and was like, okay, I need a break from this because that was a little too real. So I know that's a different experience than what Apple has arranged with this product, but that's the limited experience I have with kind of AR, VR.
Okay, so we're all limited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
And I've had zero prior to this, like literally none. I tried once putting on a headset at Best Buy to see what it was like, and it was broken. So that's
okay.
The experience of putting one on my head. And
so total. I know you're going to dig into the details here, but the total demo time was 20, 25 minutes?
25
right?
minutes, exactly right. And that included the setup.
Okay.
So
right,
the
so
actual
put
demo
it
time.
on.
Yeah, put it on.
You see the haze and you got your eyes dialed in with the calibrated for the touch stuff. Then where did you head to from that?
So then it's really a demo of a couple of apps, not a ton. So what he has you do is press the crown. The crown brings over essentially the dock or launch pad. It's funny how these things kind of get in there. And what you'll notice immediately is when that the apps all appear in front of you, is that they ever so slightly, like very subtly, move when your eyes move around the space. And that's something that I will say that is extraordinarily impressive. Is one, how responsive that is, and two, how much sense it makes. It really makes a ton of sense. So the first thing that he had me do was open the Photos app. So look at photos, tap once, and it opened that up, and super responsive. So the speed at which these apps open, I want to see on my Mac and on my on my phone. They really fly in terms of how quickly they open. So open up the Photos app, and he had me do a number of things. First he had me look at very specific photos. There's a whole bunch in the library, but he had me open up a library by looking at it, tapping. And then once I was in this library, I had to look at the top left picture. And this was, as part of the demo, kind of giving me some instructions on how to zoom in on a photo, how to set the app in space, which is really impressive as well, in terms of how you can place these things, make it bigger or smaller and resize it. The other thing that I wasn't expecting that it does is you've got the ability to place things further away from you or closer to you. I was expecting kind of a two-dimensional space where, you slid stuff around, but not that I could put this window in the back and move this window a little more forward. That was pretty impressive too. So Photos app, and I will say the first time that I was really like bowled over was when I was in the Photos app. So great pictures, can see them, can see the depth, pretty amazing. But then he had me go to a video that was shot on an iPhone, in this kind of three-dimensional depth thing. And it was a little kid with family around and a birthday cake right in front of where you're sitting. And, everybody sings happy birthday. And then she comes forward and she blows out the candles. And first of all, it was like you almost expected to smell the smoke.
Wow.
It was that immersive. But the depth of it, the reality of it, it's clear that it was video. That's not, it's not like, you felt like you were going to reach out and touch a person in the face. But the way that I was enveloped in that particular moment was amazing. Everybody, have you guys seen the movie Minority Report?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You remember early on in the movie where Tom Cruise's character, he goes out, he gets his drugs, and then he takes his drugs, and then he's watching videos of his kid. It had that dynamic to it, except for I went and rewatched that scene yesterday in the movie just to kind of see what it was about. It was more than what that movie offered. It was more immersive than what that movie offered and was more touching. And I was talking with actually the security guard afterwards, after I'd had my my demo, and he goes, what's amazing about this? And he was right, 100% right about this. He said, what's amazing about this is that, he was saying his parents are getting older and his kids are starting to have kids, and his parents probably going to pass away before, the kids get a chance to remember who or understand who these people were. And you could record something where, grandma and grandpa or great grandma and grandpa are holding, the baby in their arms and talking to the baby. And that at some point in time in the future, these kids could have the ability to see that video and kind of get a really live feeling of what it was about. To me, that was one of the most impressive things about Vision Pro was the way that particular moment made me feel. And it goes beyond just straight up technology. It's the way that I felt about that particular moment. And I didn't even know, these are actors probably that are doing what they're doing.
Well, and imagine how that's going to make you feel when it's your photo library and not, some stock library. So I'm sure all those emotions will be heightened if they're yours.
100%. And the ability to feel like you're in that moment, in that scene, really pretty amazing. Also, if you're Tom Cruise in Minority Report, way to watch you, it makes you want to, blot it all out because it breaks your heart. So, there's a little bit there. So that was very, very impressive to me. That was the first time that I was really kind of bowled over by the whole thing. After that, it's really the whole demo was really very like bang, 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 bang. So, got through that stuff, had me rearrange it, had me open up a couple of other apps, put them on the screen in various places and kind of look around and see what was there. And it is pretty straightforward. I'm going to say right out of the box, I do not see anybody. I shouldn't say anybody, but I barely see anyone using productivity apps. Like, there's no way I'm writing on this. Maybe if I plug the computer in or, have the computer not plugged in, but hooked up and use it that way. But I'm a very fast typist, but I'm not technically a touch typist. I'm I'm a guy that essentially taught myself how to type and type really quickly, and I use all my fingers, but that would be a pile of garbage on the screen if I was typing that way. I guess if you could talk to, if you were using the option to speak to the computer and have it, translate your words to text, that might work, but that's not really good writing style for me. But I'm going to be interested to see what happens with regard to productivity apps. I know Fantastical just yesterday announced that they released a Vision Pro version of their app, which, amazing. And I could see in that situation where you're hopping into a Zoom meeting and Zoom pops up and you're in your goggles. If they see your avatar, who knows? That might be a little goofy.
Did you get to do that as part of the
They
demo?
did not do any of that kind of stuff at all. It really, they're really trying to slide people through but give you I will say it was a very enjoyable experience, and it was not like going to buy a car. You know, it's like, all right, let's drive the car. And so you ready to do this today? It was none of that stuff. It was very low key, very friendly, very straightforward. The other thing, so again, you were just talking about when you went to your friend's house and had the opportunity to do some VR stuff at your friend's house. They had a couple of immersive things here too, as well, that were equally as impressive. So one of them is this shot that's a 360 shot that you're on some lake somewhere, and I swear every detail very amazing. Like you look down. And when you look down, you can see the ground at your feet. I mean, it was really
That's cool.
that slick. All of those things, I will say, no matter what, you definitely know that you're not in reality. And that was another thing that kind of sticks with me. It's like I was standing in the ocean in the Vision Pro, but I could drive to the ocean and put my toes in the water too. You know, there is an aspect of it that is definitely, I mean, I suppose I'm never going to get, to the top of Mount Everest. For something like that you would never, at least I would never be able to do. I'm not going to be hauling to the top of there. For something like that, pretty amazing. But for the basic stuff of being able to step in the water, not a big deal. They had me watch also a 3D version of the Mario movie. And also slick. I don't know. I don't like 3D movies anyway. There's not a lot. I think I've seen one, Coraline. I saw Coraline and liked that a ton, and pretty cool that way. But I to watch 3D movies, not a thing that I'm going to do it. That's
funny. That's the biggest appeal to me is 3D movies.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, so that's a space that makes sense for you to
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a nice TV setup here at my house, but, I do watch movies pretty frequently and I watch them alone. So this isn't an experience that I would need to share with anyone necessarily. But that 3D aspect and having that, spatial audio right by your ears and being able to kind of look around the space and see more of the scenery, that would be pretty cool to see, even in just the demo.
Cool.
How was the audio?
Frigging phenomenal. Okay. It's unbelievable how good it is.
That's cool.
And I don't know. It was absolutely incredible how good it was, and it is spatial audio too. So you turn your head, you get a different, you get a different sound. The other thing that was phenomenal, they had a sports demo. Where the first one was a soccer game. They were, that had clearly just been shot, like because it was a demo of Messi with the team in Florida. The guys with the pink shirts, and you were behind the goal, and it was just above it, and it was absolutely amazing. In terms of, how much you felt like you were in that particular scene, like, move out of the way of the ball kind of stuff. So, and according to the guy that was giving me the demo, they're definitely already working with Major League Baseball. And I don't know if it was the NFL or maybe it was Major League Soccer. They're already set up now to do to record stuff so that you can watch it using Apple Vision Pro.
Kind of makes those Apple TV Plus deals they've done make a little more sense.
Yep.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah, so kind of brings that together rather nicely for that kind of stuff. Did you, by chance, see Brian Tong's review on YouTube?
I did not see that.
He did like a 55-minute review. And I actually watched it all last night. I was like, let me see. But he had the NBA app. That
you sent me the screenshot of that. Is that what you sent me? Yeah.
So
that was pretty.
You
slick.
could have a lot of sports junkies. They've got not the show, which is a long time running show too, which is really great. Check them out. We'll have a multiple TV set up for sports. I've never done that. I've always thought it looks sweet though. And so he was showing the NBA app has built-in support for that. So you can have like a center app, or a center screen, I should say, with a game you're watching. But you can also pick, I think he had 5 going at one time. And it was so like he had, that dream setup for a sports fan of multiple TVs. But then what kind of took it even next level is he could say, okay, we'll put the live stats, in separate windows off to the sides of the TV, or not the TVs, but of the screens, we'll call them. And that, I was like, just take my money for that. That would be great. Because I mean, as a, somebody that likes sports and everything, I mean, imagine college football season if you're into that. I don't watch a lot of that, but March Madness, oh my gosh, that would be incredible for that. So that one looked interesting. I don't know if did they show the NBA app in the demo at all?
I did not see the NBA app in the demo. No, I saw it was Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer, both of those, and it's super impressive.
Yeah, and the app was just like the regular TV stream that you would see. Like it wasn't like you were talking with the soccer experience where it was right above the goalpost.
This was more of a canned demo, is what it was. Yeah. So they brought up video that they had shot for this, and it kind of bounced between Major League Baseball, which was ground level, like right at first base, basically, you could see on the ground. So I imagine they would have, cameras all over the place. But it was canned. It was not like you were looking at something in the app, which makes sense because, at 8 a.m, who's playing sports? I guess they're playing, the Premier League might be playing.
Very good point.
That's it. So,
comfort level. I know you
all right. So let's talk about two things. There's 2 levels of comfort. One level of comfort is navigation and working with the app, all the stuff in there. Frigging brilliant. Like amazing in terms of how easy it was to pick up the gestures. Like honestly, 0 time at all. Okay. I had the headset on for 20 minutes. And then I left my demo. Fortunately, I wear a hat on my head. Left the demo, went to, a store, and then walked to my car. And then I sent Tom a picture of my mug that 20 minutes later still had a raccoon band across the top of my head. So it's definitely... It would, for me, it would be hard to wear this thing for a really long time. I think I've mentioned to you, Tom, before, but a friend of mine's daughter was a helicopter pilot for the Navy, and she used to have to wear basically infrared night vision goggles the whole time she was flying, because she was flying at night over the ocean, like about 6 inches above the ocean, trolling for submarines and stuff like that. Not that I know that for a fact, because she's not allowed to tell anything that she did. But with those night vision goggles, she had to have a counterbalance on the back because they're so heavy that it ended up hurting her neck. And actually she ended up stopping flying helicopters. This is supremely heavy. And for any length of time, unless your head's leaning back on a couch or something like that, which I don't know what picture it was that you sent me, Tom, of some guy lying on his back in a room, on a couch with his goggles on. That's a great position to be in for this. It's not having to hold your head up. So I can see, that being, I mean, maybe that's why the battery only lasts for 2 hours. He'd take it off after 2 hours after recharge it. By the way, that's a no big deal for me. That battery pack, you stick it in the back of your pocket. It's no big deal. Like if you're walking around with it, it's a 0. Like a lot of people go, oh my God, battery hanging out. Why'd they do that? Sorry. It's literally no big deal.
I do think, or I do wonder, not think, they know, but why the battery wasn't a little bigger. If it's going to be external anyway. And like, just not maybe necessarily the physical size of it, but I think Marquez Brownlee mentioned like the milliamp hours and everything was lower than some phones. And it's like,
yeah, that's interesting. And it is
about
the
chunky battery outside anyway. And it could go back to, we really don't want people wearing this for 4 or 5 hours.
Who knows?
And then
I don't know
because they've got bad necks.
Right. Everybody needs neck surgery. Yeah, I
ABP
don't
neck.
know. It is about the size of the original iPhone and the same feel and shape. But it's, toss that thing in the back of your pocket. Curious question why they couldn't have made it last more. Because the thing's
I think
nothing
the
but
Quest
battery.
has it on the back. Like the Quest does the Quest have the Quest 3 has the battery built in?
I think so. And I've heard that some people like that because it acts as a counterbalance. Back
Yeah,
there.
that makes sense.
Yeah. And, again, I've not tried this at all yet. And I was looking, so last night I was just doing a little research on Reddit. They've got a couple of Vision Pro subreddits there. And I was like, I wonder what the first impressions are there. And as you would expect, it was mixed. I think that subreddit is people who are really interested in this, right? Or why else would you be in the subreddit unless you're trolling people? But so they are hardcore into it, and the initial feedback was pretty mixed. A lot of people, really liked it and had nothing bad to say, but there were a considerable number of folks who thought technically it is incredible. Practical usage of it, they're going to struggle to find after the novelty wears off, because all of these things, I mean, the screens are great. Obviously, the engineering is Apple, so we know that's going to be top notch and everything, but still a VR headset.
Yes.
And so all of the struggles that have come with the VR headsets to date with, neck fatigue, eye strain, and so people noted for this one in particular, because with the Quest, you've got the controllers, right, to do things. And with this one being driven by, vision. So, you look, you tap, you look, you tap, you look, you tap, that they had mental fatigue caused by that after an hour and a half.
Interesting.
Because it's, I guess, and it could just be they're overly focused and they just need to relax a little bit because it's new, and that might subside. But because, like you mentioned, you kind of control everything by looking and tapping. And it was one of the other reviews, I think, mentioned that you forget, like when you're using a computer or your phone or whatever it is, you look at something, but you don't have to necessarily maintain that focus on it to click it or tap it on your phone or something like that. And so that caused, that was a little bit of a learning adjustment too, with regards to that. But the other, and I think probably the biggest complaint that I saw was on the pass-through. So you talked about it when you first put it on, Jeff, because it is showing you your surroundings, but it's through the screens, right? It's with the cameras on the outside of the unit and everything. And people were pretty vocal about not thinking that was not so great. That the marketing materials made it seem like it was going to be much better than it is. They all seemed to think it was better than the Quest 3 to a certain degree, but that's what, $500 versus $3,500. And especially in low light or when you moved, especially if the light wasn't great. So obviously in the store, light's going to be great. That there was a lot of motion blur, and like the lower the light was, like, because one of the demos some reviewers did is they would have that on, they'd look at their phone, they could still do text messages and things like that. And so people tried that because they saw it in reviews, and there were a lot of complaints that they couldn't see the time on their watch. They couldn't do text messages because in low light, the cameras just couldn't pick it up and it was too blurry to do that. So that stuff, I mean, that's hard. And I don't know, maybe at some point that stuff will get better. But I mean, it's just like with your phone. I mean, when you take a low light picture on your phone and you move it, it's going to blur. And I think that's just, a lot of it's physics, and it's just the way things are at this point.
Yeah, I don't think this is my kind of current gut. I don't see this being something available for everyday use until it can be basically a pair of glasses, that you're wearing, that's your vision goes straight through that. And then it's presenting that information on, some kind of screen or.
Gannon might live to see that. We won't see that.
We'll see. You never know.
I mean, the Meta Ray-Bans people seem to like those. I mean, it's not the same thing. It's not close, but I think the trend, the goal, that is the goal.
Right.
Man, that seems a long way off still.
I agree. I think it's something else. Although, you can talk to Elon and go get an implant, and maybe that does it for you too. Like just it puts it right in your brain.
Take a Neuralink.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
I'll be curious to see how Apple Silicon can help really iterate this Vision Pro in the coming years. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it got drastically improved and enhanced with the technology and the chips inside it to make it smaller and lighter weight and, more energy efficient and stuff. I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah, listen, it's very impressive technology. Apple has, again, having not seen any other VR headsets, Apple has done something here that I think is ridiculous in terms of what it's capable of and what it can be. And I think
I have a homework assignment for you.
Oh, geez, what's that? Go buy one.
No, we've already crossed that bridge. You should go out to a store and try the Quest 3.
Yeah, if I could find one that works.
And come back and then compare.
All right. I will do that, not by the time we get to the next show.
If you get a
for the
chance,
show.
it's not that big of a deal. But it would be interesting just to kind of see, because I'm curious, because that was one of the things people were like, well, the Quest 3 is like a seventh of the price and gets you 80% of the way there. I think the biggest gap where I would favor the Vision Pro is just because of the Apple ecosystem and all the apps and your messages and everything are there. Whereas you're not going to get that on the Quest 3. It's mostly for gaming and movie watching.
Yeah, and games in the Vision Pro are going to be ridiculous for those people who...
So Gannon, are you going to buy one?
No, believe it or not, last spring when they announced it, I'm like, you know what? I'm saving up and getting one of these. I just really wanted to be part of this early adopter, craze. And I started saving up a bunch of money, but then the fall rolled around and I bought a new phone and a new watch and my wife a new watch, and that totally zapped my savings. So no, I'm afraid not. I'm, going to take a back seat on this one, but we'll seriously look at version 2.
Tom?
Jeff? Probably not. I'd like to order one to try it.
And you're going to get one for
work. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, and so that we're still looking at that. Like we've got an AR VR program that are definitely getting one or two for what they do, but it makes sense for them. And so we're still on the fence for just one to have one for our department. If it were more of a easily shared device or something like that, maybe. But I don't know. I might order one just to try it, take advantage of the 14-day window. I feel like it's probably going to be long enough where I get bored with the novelty and don't want to put it on and it'll just collect dust. But then I'm like, why even tempt yourself? Because my luck, I would do it. I'd fall out or something with a busted hip and then I'd be out and miss the 14-day window and be stuck with the payments. So I don't know if I should tempt fate.
Yeah, smart idea.
And we don't have an Apple store that's really close enough to try it out. And I don't want to drive to Northern Virginia. So
can't blame you.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Tom.
we'll put a bunch of links in the show notes for the reviews and everything. And they're pretty good. MKBHD, of course, top notch on production values and just kind of being balanced about everything. I still think Nilay Patel's review for The Verge was excellent and was very realistic. Didn't really get overly hyped about it. Said, hey, A, B, and C are good. X, Y, and Z are not so great. And so we'll link all those in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. And we've managed to burn almost 45 minutes of your day. So sorry. I mean, you're getting more time on the treadmill, so we appreciate that. As usual, you can get to us at feedback@basicafshow.com. We really like feedback, so please do that. Show music by Psychokinetics. We might be putting out a playlist, so we'll throw some Psychokinetics on that playlist. I don't know. Was that just for us, Tom? Or was that soon to be publicly embarrassing?
We'll see.
All right.
To be determined.
And fun idea. We've got a little music tossed in there. I know I've tossed too much music in. And then Randall Martin Design for show logo, not the actual episode artwork. But we want you to check all those guys out. And thanks for spending 45 minutes with us. We really appreciate it.
We do. And Gannon, where can people go to find more of what you're working on?
So you can find me at level1nerd.net. I'm creating a growing community where you can learn the fundamentals of using Apple tech, the tech that's in your pocket and on your desk, and use it more comfortably and confidently. And I send a newsletter every 2 weeks for free, so check it out. You can also find me on social media at level1nerd.
All right, excellent. Yeah, go sign up for that, and you'll learn some cool things from Gannon as part of his newsletter and tips that he's got to share with everybody. So I think that wraps this one up. Gannon, thanks again. Jeff,
Yeah.
thanks for
Thank you, guys.
running
Yeah,
over
thank
for
you,
the
Gannon.
hands-on demo. We appreciate
Yeah, you're
making
welcome.
the journey on.
Are you paying
84.
for gas?
No.
Ah, shoot.
But that will do it for this one. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and have a great rest of your day, rest of your night.
See ya.
I don't wanna know about your imperfections, dude.